Why is Venus absolutely and totally different from Earth, even though they are basically twins in size and composition? And how on earth did this cosmic neighbor completely transform from a chill, mild world into an absolute scorching hellscape? Can volcanoes actually change the climate of an entire planet? And what on earth happens when hundreds of massive volcanoes absolutely blow their tops at almost the exact same time? How did water vapor completely flip from a total blessing that cools the planet into an absolute nightmare that cranks up the heat? And what is that tiny little difference that allowed Earth to keep rocking with life while Venus totally died out? Could our own planet actually go through the exact same disaster one day? And what kind of deep lessons is Venus completely hiding from us about the absolute future of our climate? Searching for the answers to these questions completely leads us straight into a mind-blowing story about absolute balance, pure luck, and those tiny subtle differences that make all the difference between life and death on a truly cosmic scale. Venus and Earth were total twins at the very beginning, with super close diameters and the exact same rocky composition. If we could have looked at them from deep space billions of years ago, we would have literally found massive oceans and fluffy clouds on both of them. But the whole difference started out tiny and then absolutely exploded into a total catastrophe. For instance, Venus got hit with a massive, totally synchronized volcanic wave, where hundreds of giant volcanoes absolutely blew their tops in a super short geological time frame. Earth definitely witnessed some massive volcanic action too, but its eruptions were completely spread out over millions and millions of years. These synchronized volcanoes on Venus absolutely blasted massive amounts of carbon dioxide gas into the air all at once. The crazy result was that the atmosphere completely turned into a super thick blanket that trapped the heat with insane efficiency. And with that heat completely trapped, the surface temperature absolutely soared to hundreds of degrees Celsius, causing the massive oceans to start boiling and evaporating like crazy. Then, the resulting water vapor completely flipped into a greenhouse gas that was dozens of times stronger than carbon dioxide itself. So as that water vapor kept building up, the global warming absolutely skyrocketed, which in turn just cranked up the evaporation even more. Because of this, Venus got completely trapped in a vicious, endless loop, where every single step just made the whole disaster a million times worse. Plus, being way closer to the Sun made things a million times worse, since Venus is just 108 million kilometers away. That meant the total amount of solar radiation blasting into it was literally double what Earth gets. See, that exact closeness allowed the water to evaporate way more easily, so Venus couldn't even build up a cold upper atmosphere like the one we have on Earth. Instead, that water vapor would just drift straight up to the very top and get totally ripped apart by intense ultraviolet radiation. So that superlight hydrogen would completely escape into deep space forever, while the oxygen ended up binding directly with the rocks. And just like that, Venus totally lost every single drop of its water for good, transforming into an absolute barren, bone-dry desert. But Earth, with its absolute perfect distance from the Sun, 150 million kilometers, kept its temperatures totally chill and mild. If Earth had been just 5% closer, it would have completely entered that exact same deadly vicious loop. We also find that the volcanoes on Earth blew their tops with an absolutely mind-blowing balance, where greenhouse gases were totally getting released, but the tectonic plates were constantly recycling that carbon right back into the core of the Earth. So that gas never ever got a chance to pile up in the atmosphere. So the lush vegetation and massive oceans were completely soaking up insane amounts of carbon too, totally turning it into carbonate rocks and beautiful seashells. For example, the limestone sitting right in our mountains is the absolute direct result of that ancient soaking process. And then Earth has this absolutely massive, super powerful magnetic field that totally protects our atmosphere from the blasting solar winds. This wild field actually came to life because of a liquid outer core that spins like crazy, which is something Venus completely lacks. So if we completely bring all these epic factors together, the absolute perfect distance, the spread out volcanoes, the tectonic plates, the powerful magnetic field, and the massive oceans, they all literally team up perfectly to keep our awesome planet totally alive and thriving. So the whole difference between heaven and hell literally came down to just tiny little shifts in timing, distance, and core structure. It really makes you appreciate the absolute value of this amazing planet we live on way more, because it is just incredibly rare for all these perfect conditions to completely line up together.